Hey guys, Jay here with Word of Advice TV, and in this video, I would like to go over 15 fantastic tools that every technician, repair guy, handyman, or do-it-yourselfer should have in their tool bag. I previously made another video of 10 best HVAC tools, and that video got a lot of feedback, and in the comment section, I got a lot of comments of awesome tools that I missed in that video, so hopefully in this video, a lot of those tools that I missed will be covered. And before we begin this video, I just want to point out that I am not sponsored to promote any of these products. These are just simply tools that are very well liked in the repair community and just a lot of the tools that I have myself in my tool bag that I just simply really like. Alright, so let's start out with tool number 1. And in my previous video, a lot of people were impressed that I did not include this tool in that video. That's why I'm including this one first on the list. And that is a dual-sided or reversible Malco flip bit. This thing is amazing. If you don't have it, you should get one immediately. So, as it sounds like, you can flip the bit, and it has two of the most common sizes in any industry pretty much for the hex screws. You have the 5/16, and you have the 1/4 inch, and they're even color-coded. You got the yellow and the red. So, they're reversible, or you can flip them. A lot of air conditioners or furnaces, they'll have both screws, 5/16 and 1/4 inch, just kind of mixed in together. So having a bit like this does really save time, and it's a lot more convenient instead of having to switch different bits every time. And another cool thing about this is that when you take it off, all the shavings and debris and dirt and whatever else gets in there, you can just simply brush it off and that's it. So unlike conventional bits or nut drivers where everything gets stuck inside there and you have to try to scrape out as much of it as you can, on these Malco flip bits, when you take the thing off, you can really easily clean it. So basically, whoever invented this is a total genius. This thing is great. I believe everybody should have one. So as you're going along in your day, if you need the other side, you flip it over, and voila, you got the other side. So these things are great. I lose them all the time though, just like any of my other drill bits. So if you're gonna order them, I suggest getting at least a set of 2. They have different sets. They have a set of 5, 10, 15. They have the longer ones, just whatever you need them for. But this flipping part of it is the best part. So definitely something that every tool bag should have. A set of 2 of these guys will cost you about 13 bucks on Amazon. Okay, and moving on to tool number 2, we have my favorite pliers of all time. I think everybody should have a pair of these, and that is the Knipex pliers. And what makes these things so wonderful, besides the fact that they're very easy to adjust. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, there's 2 different kinds. They have a Knipex with a button, where you press the button and then you can adjust it. And then they have the Knipex like this, where it just slides real easy. I would definitely recommend getting these, because the one with the button, it constantly gets stuck as you're trying to move it around. Whereas this one, you could almost just adjust them with one hand. So what makes these things so great is the offset jaw, which makes it almost like a mix of a channel lock and a pipe wrench. So it grabs onto pipes really well. And besides that, I just use them like regular angled pliers as well, for hose clamps and for other stuff. So these things are wonderful, and just about every HVAC technician I know has a pair of these Knipex pliers. On Amazon, they're about 22 bucks, but I think they're very well worth the 22 bucks. And moving on to tool number 3, we have the UEi Pocket Thermometer. So that's this thing right here. As you can see, the bottom of it is magnetic. That's one of my favorite parts. And I've had plenty of these probe thermometers in the past, different styles, including the UEi foldable thermometer, and just off-brands of pretty much the same thing. And out of all of them, I like this one the most. It's simple, easy to use, and it doesn't break nearly as often as those other ones. Unfortunately for me, this is thermometer number 8. I've had a lot of these, and the biggest reason for getting a new one is because I simply accidentally leave it as a souvenir in a customer's home, in the ductwork or wherever I was measuring the temperature. Since they're magnetic and they stick, they're very easy to forget. So lately what I've been doing is I've been unsheathing it, this thing right here, and then this sheath, or whatever, the cover, I throw it in the doorway or on the steps or wherever I'm going to be leaving. So when I'm leaving, I see that thing and I pick it up. And if I didn't retrieve my thermometer, this works as a reminder for me to go back and get it. But these things are wonderful, and I usually get them as a pair. one for the return duct and one for the supply duct, as I'm measuring the temp rise or the temp drop. And they work very well. The quality's good. The battery does last a very long time, but once it does die, you can replace it. So it's a very nice probe thermometer, and it's the only one I get now. On Amazon, it's about 19 bucks. And tool number 4 is a classic favorite, and that is the Klein Stubby 6-in-1 screwdriver. So this thing works great in tight spaces. It's very small, gets into little spaces, and of course the best part about it is that it's a 6-in-1. So it has a Phillips, 2 sizes of Phillips on either end, and the other side has the flathead, also 2 sizes. And when you take those out, one side becomes a 5/16 nut driver, and the other one is a 1/4 inch. So it works very well for many applications, especially in the HVAC field. I use this stubby screwdriver quite a bit. And just about every single HVAC technician that I know has one of these in their tool bag just because it's such a great tool. On Amazon, it's about 10 bucks, and I think it's definitely worth getting if you don't already have one. And the older brother of tool number 4 also happens to be a classic favorite, and that is the 11-in-1 screwdriver. So this is tool number 5, and there's more than one reason why this tool is so great. I think just about all the technicians I know have this in their tool bag because this thing is just awesome to have. So the fact that it's an 11-in-1 alone is great. So both sides of these come out. Bit holders. So you got these two right here. There's 2 sizes of torque, 2 sizes of Phillip, flathead, and square. And aside from that, you can take these bits out, and you also have a 5/16 and a 1/4 inch nut driver as well. And the thing about these that I like the most is the fact that this screwdriver can really get you out of a bind sometimes. And what I mean by that, if I just take this bit out right here, when you turn this thing into a nut driver, 1/4 inch, for example, right here, I will try my best to film this, but the walls of that nut driver are very thin on the screwdriver, whereas the walls on a regular nut driver, like this, for example, a 1/4 inch, the walls are thick. So, for example, if you have to get to a screw and it has stuff around it, sometimes this bulky spot right here does not fit in there and you can't take that screw out, no matter how you pry in there. In that case, using one of these screwdrivers saves the day every time. The walls are nice and thin, so even if that screw is boxed in, this thing will fit and get that screw out. And I'm sure if there's any HVAC technicians watching this, they know exactly what I'm talking about. So you could be used for that, and of course the main function is that it is indeed 11-in-1 screwdriver. So instead of carrying around a bunch of screwdrivers of different kinds in your tool bag, you just carry the one. So this thing on Amazon is about 15 bucks, which I think is a bargain. This is well worth it if you don't have one already. And tool number 5 is a very affordable soldering iron. So of course, every technician should have one of these. I don't use mine very often, that's why I just got a cheap one. And it works just fine for whenever I need it, just to solder some little connections on the back of a control board, for example. This one has worked great for me, if I can get it untangled. Although, who cares about the cord, right? Okay, so here's the Weller soldering iron, and this thing is only 25 watts, gets up to about 750 degrees. And for most solder, it needs to be about 600 degrees to melt. So getting up to 750 is just enough. And what I like about this soldering iron is that it gets hot really quickly, so I don't have to wait for a long time. And it also has 3 LED lights on it. When you plug it in, they light up. They're not that bright. I usually end up using a flashlight anyway, or if there's just good lighting, I don't really care about the LED lights at all. The main part is the soldering iron itself, and it does work pretty good. And this one right here also comes with a little holding bracket, which, you know, this just kind of lays around. I don't use it very often. But I suppose once this is super hot, you do want it to be away from the floor. So you just set it down and let it cool off on the bracket. So soldering iron, even if it's not this one, I definitely think every technician should have one in their tool bag. This one right here on Amazon is about 12 bucks, so it's very affordable. And tool number 7 is a long needle nose angled pliers. These things really save the day when you need them. I used to have 2 pairs. Unfortunately, I left one as a souvenir at somebody's house, so now I'm just stuck with this really long one, which is okay, because I use the long one more anyways. So I still haven't ordered the short pair, but they do come as a set, or you can order them individually. But these needle nose pliers are really handy, once again, in tight spaces where you can't get a straight needle nose in, especially on hose clamps, on furnaces, and other appliances. These things work really great to get in there and grab a hose clamp that's in an awkward position and slide it over a hose if you need to. I really enjoy having these things in my tool bag, which is why they're part of this list. And on Amazon, these things will only set you back 11 bucks. And tool number 8 is a mini ratchet set, which looks like this. Now, this thing is really handy in tight spaces. It's pretty much just a finger ratchet, but this one, at first I was kind of weirded out because you can't hear the ratchet sound. This is a gearless ratchet, so I'm not sure what the science behind it is, but it works well. I haven't had any problems with it. Here's the little lever, you turn it to switch between clockwise and counterclockwise, and it works like a clock. I mainly got this because of the set itself. It comes with all of these bits, so it has 3 different sizes of the Phillips, 2 flatheads, it has 3 different sizes of hex, and 2 Torx. So for close quarters, this thing is really great. For example, you would take out one of the small bits, put it in, and then if you're behind some burner box or if you're in an appliance and you have very little space, you could get in there and all you gotta do is just spin the wheel and get that screw out. So it works really slick, and it also comes with an extension if you ever need it. And once in a long time, you do need the extension, but you can use any extension with the hex adapter on it. Put it in and reach back or behind or from the side and get your screw out. It also comes with a little socket set. I really wish this wasn't metric. I mean, optimally it would be nice if this was, 1/4 inch, 3/8, and 5/16, which all HVAC guys primarily use. But unfortunately this is metric, 8mm, 10mm, 12mm. Which also comes in handy once in a long time, but I really wish it was the other stuff. But that's okay, because mainly I got it for all of these bits, and for the mini ratchet. And I think it's a good addition to any tool bag. You can get one of these sets on Amazon for around 18 bucks. But before I got this set right here, what I used to use was just a Titan finger ratchet, 1/4 inch. And this one you can actually hear ratchet, and it kind of sounds nice to the ear. That ratcheting sound, I don't know what it is about it, but it just sounds nice, the ratchet. And of course this one you can change direction as well. And the only downside is it comes with a square, so you have to put an adapter on it to some quick change adapter. Then you put on any socket you want or any bit you want. And once again, same thing as this one, except this one's gearless. You have a little finger ratchet that you can get into tight spaces with. So I've been using this one up until now, but for now I think I'll start using this and see how it goes, or at least for all of these weird sized bits. And for tool number 9, we have a non-contact voltage pen. I always carry one of these in my pocket. Sometimes my meter is not always available. I don't have the tool bag next to me, so having one of these in my pocket really saves me some time. So checking high voltage or low voltage, this thing goes from 10 volts to 1,000 volts. And through the years, I came to a conclusion that voltage pens, which brand you have, doesn't really matter. I had Klein. I think this is my 3rd voltage pen. Either I lose them, sometimes I accidentally leave them as a souvenir, or they break. But I've been using the generic style. This one right here is about 15 bucks on Amazon, and it works great. I like that it's simple. You just have the power button, hit and hold it. It automatically starts with low sensitivity, which means I think it was 40 volts and up. So if you want low voltage, you just hit the other button, which is for the flashlight. It has a little built-in flashlight. Or for more sensitivity, basically high sensitivity. And of course, this is not a tutorial on this voltage pen. So if you do get a voltage pen, just look at the manual, see how to use it. So here's my little flashlight. But I think a voltage pen is definitely good to have, and every technician should have one in their tool bag, or preferably in their pocket. And usually these things take 2 AAA batteries. So a voltage pen is a must. This one right here that I have, that I use, I've been having good luck with it, is about 15 bucks on Amazon. And for tool number 10, we have a step drill bit set. The first one of these that I've ever bought in Home Depot, which was probably, I don't know, 7-8 years ago. I think I bought one of these for about 65 bucks, which was very expensive. But since then, I have come to realize that for almost all applications, you don't need a step drill bit set or a step drill bit that will chew through an inch of steel. You really don't need anything that heavy duty. These things right here is more than enough. I've been using a step drill bit set like this for quite a few years now, and they've been working great. The purpose of them is pretty obvious. Instead of carrying a drill bit set box, with the different drills, you just have a step drill bit that you can use for all the different sizes. So this set right here, it comes in 3 different sizes. The sizes range from 1/8 to 3/4 inch. I think that a good tool bag should have a step drill bit in it. This set right here can be found on Amazon for about 12 bucks. And tool number 11 is another tool that I always keep in my pocket when I'm at work, and that is a Pocket small inspection mirror, or a slim telescoping inspection mirror. This thing is really nice. I mean, my favorite part about this is that it's so small and it fits in tight, close quarters. The same thing as the magnetic grabber that I featured in my previous video. Very slim and small. So both of these, along with other stuff, I keep in my pockets at all times. So I have a lot of stuff in my pocket here, in my pocket on my pants, and also, my magnetic, or not magnetic, the Alligator jumpers as a necklace. I'm always loaded with stuff that's just on hand that I can grab. So having small little things like this really helps. Big inspection mirrors are nice to have so you can see more, like this for example, but the problem with them is they're so bulky that in a lot of tight spaces, you can't even cram this thing in there. So in cases like that, I just pull out this little mirror, which is always readily available in my pocket, and I can easily reach tight little spaces with it. So if you don't have one of these yet, I highly recommend getting one. It's only about 4 bucks on Amazon. And tool number 12 is a mini SKIL screw gun, which looks like this. These things are great. They fit in a tool bag really easy because you can stand them up like this. Although it is only a 4-volt screw gun, so it's not meant to drill things. It's meant for just taking out screws and putting screws back in. So it's light duty, but for most applications, you can use this pretty much on a daily basis. So it's a mini screw gun. It either comes like this, or there's a button up on top that you press. It says twist. You press it, and it becomes a regular little screw gun like this, with the trigger and everything. And it also comes with a little drill bit set. I already have a ton of drill bits, but I guess some more won't hurt, because I do lose them quite a bit. So you put that in there. Let's say we need a Phillips. Put a Phillips in there as well. And it's just a slick little screw gun. It's very simple. It just has clockwise, counterclockwise, then the twist button and the trigger, and that's it. So we can twist it, go like that. And this straight feature right here, where it can be straight like that, also helps out in tight spaces. Sometimes you can't get a gun like this, for example. You can't get it in somewhere because this part is always in the way. And I mean, look at the size difference from this one to this one. Let me twist it. This Milwaukee is considered a small screw gun too. This thing is tiny. Let me take this out so you can see. It's a lot smaller than this Milwaukee. So of course fits in a tool bag much better, especially if you make it straight. And like I was saying, in tight spaces, having it straight like that can help you get into tighter or deeper spaces using it this way instead of a traditional gun style. It comes with a built-in rechargeable battery, and it comes with a charger that you can recharge it with. So it's just a micro SD charger. You charge it back up, and this thing usually lasts quite a while before you have to charge it up. But I like that it comes with just a regular charger. You can even use your phone charger to charge this thing. So this thing works great. I really enjoy it. And I got one of these because my coworkers, just about half of them I think, have one of these. In fact, some of them have really tiny ones that just fit in your hand. And acts from a twisting motion. So if you twist your hand to the right, it starts spinning to the right. And if you twist your hand to the left, it starts spinning to the left. And it's really small, fits in your hand. I didn't want to get one that small. I tried them out. They weren't that good, and they're pretty weak too. This one's a little bit stronger, and it just feels, I don't know, more firm in your hand. So I would recommend this. This thing is great. I enjoy it. It's a fun little toy, and you can get it on Amazon for just about 30 bucks. Next up, we have tool number 13, and that is a furnace interlock or furnace door switch clip. This is made by Supco, and it works on most furnace door clips. And this thing is really handy if you have a lot of furnaces in your future, especially if you're doing maintenance on them, tune-ups. A lot of times for some of those checks, you have to have the door switch taped or somehow blocked by a magnet or something else. These things work really slick. I got one just because I got tired of taping the door switches. And this particular door clip, if you align it in different ways, it works on just about any furnace door switches. I did have a couple that it didn't work on, but for the most part, it does lock all of those door switches pretty nicely. They also have an Alligator style door switch locker. So this door switch is not mandatory, of course, but it is a fun little tool to have if you're tired of taping those furnace door switches. And on Amazon, one of these runs at about 17 bucks. Next up, we have tool number 14, and it's going to be very similar to this tool, but not quite this thing right here. This is a refrigeration wrench, which I think everybody should have as well, especially if you're an HVAC technician. This is mainly for king valves and service valves on the air conditioner outside. This little adapter is very handy for that. But also, just in case you don't know and you're a service technician, this little adapter works very well on furnace gas valves as well. To take that little port nut out, these things work really slick for that, the ratcheting wrench. But I am sidetracking. Tool number 14 is actually the Klein offset wrench. So it kind of looks like that one, but it's not. It's just a ratcheting wrench that's offset. One side is 1/4 inch and the other one is 5/16. Once again, the two most common sizes. And this thing works really good, once again, in tight or awkward spaces. So for example, if you have like a furnace cabinet, burners, and there's a screw underneath that you need to get to, sometimes those screws can be really hard to get to, but with an offset wrench like this, you can slide it in and just ratchet away, take that screw out. This thing works very slick, and if you don't have one yet in your tool bag, I think it's a great addition to any tool bag. This thing runs at about 16 bucks on Amazon. And last but not least, we have tool number 15. Can you guess what it is? I'll give you a hint. It's highly recommended by highly experienced technicians that have over 20 years of experience and potentially have bad knees. Tool number 15 is indeed a kneeling pad. So all the older guys that have bad knees, definitely push for kneeling pads. All my senior techs that have taught me or mentored me always told me kneeling pads, kneeling pads, kneeling pads, especially if you're on concrete. In fact, all my teachers that had 6 or 8 master licenses when I was going to school, most of them were going to school as a teacher, not because they didn't want to work anymore, but because they either had bad elbows or bad knees from being out in the trade. So all of them highly recommended kneeling pads. And this kneeling pad right here, I never use. I bought it and it just lays around collecting dust. That's not because I don't use a kneeling pad. It's simply because I use a big kneeling pad. These big kneeling pads are wonderful to have. I will not go back to a small one after using this one. The handle is a bonus. You can just grab it with your tool bag. And this kneeling pad, you never slide off of it. You know, your knees don't go off of it or your legs don't go off of it. You completely fit on the whole thing. So you're not getting wet or muddy or anything or dusty. And also what's really nice about this particular kneeling pad, it does not absorb water. So it does not get soaked if you put it on a wet surface. So far, this is my favorite kneeling pad that I found. And this thing can be bought on Amazon for about 20 bucks. Oh, and did I mention that I have an honorable mention? Whenever I'm working on somebody's furnace and I'm not having much luck figuring it out, I've been there for a while and I still can't narrow down the problem, at that point I like to take a step back and take a little break, and if the cat's been watching me for the last 20 minutes, giving me the evil eye, I like to drive the cat wild while I'm at it. And to do that, I use these laser pointers right here. So I got the green laser pointer, I got a red laser pointer, and I used to have a violet. I've had these for a couple of years already, but the violet one broke down, so now I have these two. And I like to keep at least one of them in my pocket at all times, in case I come across a cat that I want to tease or drive up the wall. So these things are fun to have to mess with other people's cats, and once in a while I'll actually use them for something useful, like if something's high up in the ceiling, I could just tell the customer, see that right there, that leak spot? Yep, that's what I'm looking at, or the return grill or whatever. Once in a while I use it as like a presentation laser pointer as well, but in most cases it's just for the cat. And the cost of driving the cat up the wall with a set of laser pointers like this will cost you about 19 bucks on Amazon. Well guys, and that is all the tools I had to share with you today. Hopefully you saw some good stuff, some good tools that you can add to your own tool bag, or maybe you already had a lot of this stuff in your tool bag. And if you have any further suggestions of great tools under 30 bucks, please let us know in the comments below. Maybe I'll add those to my tool bag as well. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to mash that like button on the way out, and we'll see you next time. And if you're still here and not in the comment section below, I've got sun chips. So let's say you have sun chips, you have people sitting around the table, you want to share your chips. To do that, you want to pour the chips into a bowl. But the problem is, you don't have any kind of dishes or bowls that you can pour the chips in. If you just open the bag, like this, and just put the chips down, then it kind of becomes a little bit of a hassle. People have to spin the bag around to get the chips out. Some people will feel awkward to take the bag away, so they're not even going to take any chips. So to fix that problem, all you got to do is make a little bowl out of the chip bag itself. And to do that, all you got to do is this right here. You're basically tucking the bag in on itself. And voila, problem solved. You got your stand and your chip bowl all in one.